right, let's talk about project kickoff meetings. We're going to break down exactly how to run the perfect online kickoff. Whether you're leading an engineering team or any kind of project, getting the start right is, well, it's everything. So let's jump in and lay out the blueprint for a kickoff that actually works. Yeah, you know the feeling. We've all been there. You get off the call and you've got more questions than when you started. That initial confusion, it's like the first major roadblock for your project. Today, we're going to show you how to completely clear that road from the very beginning. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the problem itself, the kickoff conundrum. Then we'll walk through 3 really core principles for a great meeting. And we'll wrap up with a pretty awesome automation hack that makes the whole thing seamless. Okay, let's dive into that first part, the kickoff conundrum. Why do so many of these meetings just fall flat? I mean, before we can find the solution, we've got to get really clear on what the problem is, right? This right here is the absolute truth of it. A kickoff isn't just a box you check. It's the critical moment where you get everyone on the same page, looking at the same map and heading to the same destination. If you don't have that shared vision from day one, you're not really a team. You're just a bunch of people working near each other. And honestly, that's just a recipe for disaster. So, the whole point of a great kickoff is to hit these key objectives. You've got to align everybody. You need to set a positive, collaborative tone for the whole project. Make sure every single person understands the goals, knows exactly what their role is, and what a successful outcome actually looks like. Okay, on to our first big principle. And trust me, this is the most important one of all. You have to start with the why. It really all boils down to this. Purpose drives performance. Before you get into any of the tasks, the timelines, nitty-gritty, your team needs to understand why this project matters. This is especially true for technical teams, like engineers. Their brains are literally wired to solve problems. If you only give them the what, they'll do it. But when they truly get the why, the real user problem they're solving, that's when you unlock a completely different level of creativity and ownership. So how do you do that? Well, you start by explaining the reason this project even exists. Show them the data, show them the user feedback, talk about the metrics that will define success. You've got to connect the code they're about to write or the designs they're about to create to that bigger picture. This isn't just about feel-good motivation, it's the context they need to make smart decisions on their own down the line. So once that why is crystal clear, the next critical piece is the who. A project's success is completely dependent on having the right people in that virtual room from day one. I know this sounds obvious, but this is where things can go wrong so easily. You just can't have silos. The business folks, the product managers, the designers, QA, and of course the engineers building it, they all need to be there together from the very beginning. It's all about building that shared understanding. But look, just having them on the Zoom call isn't enough. You need to actually map out the flow of work. And this is where focusing on inputs and outputs is a total game changer. For every single role, you define 2 things. 1, what information do you need to do your job? And 2, what specific thing will you produce? Then, and this is the most important part, you confirm that every single one of those outputs has a home. Someone is actively waiting for it. And you know what? Doing this live on a visual tool like Miro during the meeting makes it real and ensures absolutely nothing falls through the cracks. Okay, you've got your why and your who. Now it's time for the how. A kickoff meeting should never be a lecture. It's a conversation, and you, as the leader, need to actively guide it. The best way to do this is to have a neutral facilitator run the meeting. That frees up the actual project lead to participate instead of just managing logistics. You can use Zoom's breakout rooms for smaller group discussions where people feel more comfortable speaking up. And use polls. They're great for getting a quick gut check on key decisions. And here's a big one. At the end of every topic, verbally summarize who owns the next action item and when it's due. No ambiguity. And now for the final piece of this puzzle. This is the pro move, the thing that takes a kickoff from just good to truly great. Automating the boring stuff. Just think about all the time and mental energy you waste on scheduling, creating invites, finding the Zoom link, sending reminders. It's a huge administrative drag, and you can get rid of all of it. This lets you and your team focus on the actual project, not the busy work of setting up a meeting. And setting this up is actually way simpler than you might think. Picture this workflow. Step 1. Someone adds a new project to a Google Sheet. That's it. From there, an automation tool like Zapier or Make acts like your little AI assistant. And it's not complicated AI, it's just a set of simple rules. It sees the new row, and boom, it automatically creates the Zoom meeting, sends out the Google Calendar invites to everyone, and delivers a nice confirmation email with all the details. The result? You get a perfectly formatted, professional, and consistent invitation sent out every single time with zero effort. This system sets a tone of efficiency and organization before anyone even joins the call. It's a small detail that has a huge impact. So there it is, the playbook for a flawless online project kickoff. You start with why, you get the right people involved, you guide the conversation, and you automate the logistics. So the only question left is the one on your screen. How are you going to use this to transform your next project kickoff?